Welcome everyone to another RGL cast. My name is Jarrett, and I'm here at Space Coaster. Me, guys, Froyotech versus GPG. This is RGL Invite 6's Season 11, Week 4B, and we're running it back on Bagel. It wasn't too long ago till we saw this map played, and by GPG as well, and they're getting a little bit of revenge, trying to, keep up their record and show that they are capable on this map. They did pick it once again. So we'll see what happens as they, try again for a second time against probably a bit of an easier opponent, but definitely no slouches nonetheless. It's still the Froyotech name. It's still all the players from, the previous season that, definitely show that they're playoff staples. And GPG, they still have a lot to prove. So anything can happen. We've seen a little bit so far, but you never know what can change. New you, new team, new day. So Space, I'm ready for whatever chaos unfolds tonight.
So am I. I definitely think interesting to see GPG run it back on Bagel this quickly after if those of you who joined us on Tuesday saw that GPG had a very rough time last time against G6, which G6 coming into the season as the champions, one team. They definitely proved themselves to be very dominant on this map. GPG kind of ran into a brick wall that match and could get nothing going the entire time. So GPG, they must really like their chances in that because they've played it a lot this season and they are running it back against Froyotech.
Yeah. Do keep in mind that the pick bans did go through, like, not recently. You do that kind of near the beginning of the week. So they just decided, hey, let's pick the same map versus our opponents, and then that'll make it easier to scrim, because it'll be consistent through all the scrims we play. But uh, you know, they gotta at least there's the one silver lining is that, if you lose the previous match that you just played on the same map, then you can definitely look over like some things that are maybe flawed in your gameplay or that you maybe want to try to up the ante with a bit and amplify it to the next level. But the side of Froyotech, they also, I actually don't think they've played very much Bagel at all. Like, obviously this roster is different, but even the previous Froyotech rosters, they've shied just away from Bagel for like a decent amount. So I don't know if we're necessarily dealing with Bagel Masters, either of these two teams, and I think that makes it all more interesting. But before we do a really deep dive into the map, let's go over the rosters for anyone who's a little bit late to the party, Space.
True. So for Froyotech, we got Yum Yum and Sandblast on Scout, Donovan and Sin on Soldier, Danny on Demo, and May on Medic.
And for the side of GPG, it is Scarfs and Ed on Scout, Kawa and Slugmundo on Soldier, Piniferous on Demo, and Jimmy, aka Rocket King, on Medic.
Yes, our good friend Ed, aka Keja Quad, or however
True.
you'd like to pronounce it. But definitely Ed. We're going to be referring to him as Ed because I cannot say that word.
I
It's
could try.
unpronounceable.
I could
I can
try
try.
into the heat. Like, if he's running at someone in the heat of the moment when
Keja
I'm going
Quad.
speaking a mile a minute, and I could try to say KJ Qual, but I'm probably gonna fail and just say, "Oh yeah, Ed got that frag."
Yeah,
Said that on Tuesday, and I'm saying it again.
exactly. Yeah, deep diving into Bagel a bit. It's kind of hard not to talk about the map considering we just saw it played the other day. I think it's interesting that Froyotech against the quote unquote upper level teams, they're kind of a cough banning team, and they did this last season too, where against teams that they feel more comfortable against, GPG or last season against Mal, they were perfectly content with just leaving Koth in. So I feel like it's definitely I think maybe it's more of a team based thing than necessarily a map based thing. Jarrett, how do you feel?
I think it's a little bit map variety and a little bit team based, yeah. Because at some point you do want to play it to make sure your pool is at a proficient level when it comes to playoffs. Because you might get to a point where you need to like let some of these maps you're kind of fearful of in through to the pool because you'd only get a couple bans until they get their first pick when you're in playoffs mode. So at some point you should play them, and the probably safest thing to do to have a match environment on a map that you're maybe unsure of. It's still a testing ground type of deal is against a team that maybe you're a little bit more confident against than some of the upper teams. Granted, GPG, I mean, they haven't. In the only casted match that we've had of them so far, it obviously wasn't that great of a showing from them on Tuesday, but they have the nice record. They have the other teams that we do interviews with, talking them up, saying that they're the team to really watch out for. And honestly, I think they already have the record that they are the team to beat. Like, they are the gatekeepers that if you want to get in playoffs, you have to beat us among whoever else, right? So
Yeah.
so there is maybe a little bit more confidence than normal if you compare it to previous seasons, like that philosophy of when do you actually play the maps that you're maybe slightly more afraid of. But I mean, they haven't been perma banning Bagel. Like, you look some of the pick bans versus a lot of the other like mid or lower invite teams. It's left in the pool. It's the other teams that ban it. So there's
Yeah.
a variety of comfort that can come between you and your opponents combined that leads, to the map being played. But I guess from GPG's perspective, like I said, it definitely makes sense to go ahead and take let's just play one map the whole week. It'll affect our scrims in a good way. We'll get really good at the map, hopefully, and we won't have to spread ourselves too thin. So it definitely makes sense in that regard.
Yeah. And I always like watching Bagel. A great map, one of the great newer additions to the map pool. And yeah, we do have predictions up on the board. I feel like going to this match, I'm more confident about GPG against Froyotech. You know, they did not have a great showing last week last Tuesday, to put it kindly. But the nice thing about losing, like you said earlier, is that you do have time to reload. You have fresh new, videos to look at, logs to see what went wrong. What can you fix? And
Hmm.
they've done enough to clearly get this far with some players who are new to Invite. So I think this is a great opportunity to see how well can GPG adapt and fix their mistakes, because that goes a long way to making sure you not only can keep winning, but once playoffs rolls around, you can really do some damage. Because regular season after a certain point, once you get into playoffs, all regular season matters for a seeding. Other than that, it's basically just a brand new season. So GPG really have a good opportunity here to show what they're made of. And Froyotech, I think they're going into this as the favorites, but Froyotech again, they in the past I feel like they've been a lot more dominant on Bagel. This season we haven't seen that much. New roster, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, even though it's a bit of an unknown how well like Froyo are going to play on Bagel in particular, there's one thing you can't deny that it is still Froyo. Like if you look at the roster, very established players and an established playoffs team. The GPG, it's going to be a huge struggle to go through. Like you think, okay, the G6 max match, whatever, we didn't need to win it. It's the team that won last season. We got it out of the way. We can learn from it to the best we can, and then we can apply it to the next match and win that one. And then you go up against what is potentially the second best team this season. And you're like, oh, okay, it didn't get that much easier.
Well,
So
the
it's
nice
it's
thing,
still going to be really hard for them.
yeah,
And
the nice thing though is if you beat Froyotech, I'm not gonna say you're a lock for playoffs, but that makes it so much easier.
mhm.
Having an upset win, like upset wins to get into playoffs is like the bubble teams or like the fourth, third place team, make your life a lot easier. So if they can get the dub today, that will make things a lot easier.
And they already have potentially one of those depending on how their skill level matches up to the Covenant. So if they get one more, that really just seals the deal, and they can be okay with being a little bit more experimental with their matches in the later half of the season, which is really nice. It turns a net positive, or a safety net, into like it's a free room to just kind of like take risks
Yeah,
where you
you can take
otherwise
a
wouldn't.
loss learning a map like towards the end of the season, or take a more aggressive map choice just to get some reps on it. Because they've been grinding Bagel very hard so far throughout the season. I think they've played this is their fourth Bagel match, maybe even
Really?
fifth this season. Yeah, they've played a ton of Bagel.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they've played
Jeez.
a lot of Bagel. And up until last week, I think they were 2-0 or 3-0, something like that. So have been very good on this map. But once you get into the latter half of the season, the team could just ban Bagel against you in playoffs. So you got to make
And
sure you got some good reps on other maps.
And in the moment, if they've played so much Bagel, that's a lot of demos out there and even casts from Tuesday about how exactly they're able to get those victories. It's just available out there in the open. If Froyotech want to do a little bit of research, find a thing or two, like, oh, that's their go-to, and then, get an edge that way. I mean, there's nothing really stopping them. So that's the one downside of playing a map so hard, like short term. Like, obviously, there's long-term downsides if you don't get your map variety up. But before you even talk about that, you play map so much, it's just kind of out there on what your team style is. It's easier for you to get counter stratted, and it makes it harder to take the map at the end of the day. But
Yeah, this is their fourth
I think
Bagel
it's
match.
time for us to segue in a little bit and what we think the actual score line will be between these two teams. Space, everyone's had their 2 cents to say what they think is going to happen, who's going to come out on top. But what's your mind lead to, Space?
I'm thinking, I don't think it's going to be as dominant. I don't think GPG are going to lose as hard as they did against G6. That would be pretty hard to do. I think I think Froyotech is gonna win. The question is how much of a dominant win do they have? Is it a back and forth type of win you've seen in the past where it's a 4-2 but the rounds are very close? It's very back and forth, or is it gonna be like a 4-1 with maybe a couple close rounds, not too much? Or even I'm not saying that GPG can't win, but I think they're definitely heavy underdogs here.
Yeah, Koth is always really hard to predict, as we say, or at least I say every time that we do preds for a Koth matches, because there's different levels of it being close. Because you can have a game be like, oh, it was really close, like there was tons of overtime, but it was a 4-0.
Yeah.
Which we've actually casted plenty of those, especially when Bagel first started happening, and we were casting some of the teams that were a little bit of even skill level. it would be a 4-0 and a team would wipe the floor, but it would be, fight tooth and nail every single time. So I think as we actually are starting the game, I'll lead to like a 4-1 in
I'm thinking
favor of.
like a
Oh, we're not
4-1,
starting the game. We got
4-2.
baited.
Oh, we yeah,
I'm yeah. I'm
we did get muted.
thinking. They unreadied. I'm thinking like a 4-1. I think there'll be maybe a round or two that's a bit closer than the 4-run, but those like close rounds will still ultimately go Froyotech's way. I think GPG had some problems like actually playing the game because
With
they
the
just kind
forward
of got
hold.
yeah. And I mean, maybe that can happen still. Maybe they'll fix it up a little bit, but that's kind of the unknown factor that I'm kind of waiting to.
That
That's
does
the
bring
first
up
thing
a
I'm
point,
looking
though.
for, honestly.
If they can break the forward hold a lot better, I feel like that means it could be a very different ball game. You know what I mean? Because if they can break like they were just getting forward hold over and over again against G6 the other day, but if they can break that forward hold or not get in that position in the first place, I feel like we didn't even get to see like a lot of their strats on the map because they didn't get to execute them. You know, they had mids and then they were just stuck in the lobby, sadly.
The big thing is if you lose a fight, you have to lose it just enough to where, okay, they've lost some players, at least they can't forward, but if you lose hard, then you continue to lose hard. As now we're actually going live, the game is readied up, everyone's rolling out to mid, the demo men have arrived, the spam has begun, and we will quickly see who will be the winner of the first Bagel mid fight.
We will, as Vanny gonna roll out to mid, so far no real hurt players, Kawa getting a little hurt, but getting a pack as both teams really don't want to do too much. Sin gonna be the first to bomb in, Donovan gonna bomb in as well. They're gonna try to land on Jimmy. Jimmy getting shot in the back by Yum Yum. That is gonna be a medic death as Sin's gonna fall for it. But no other deaths so far as my team, they gotta make something happen here.
Yeah, a couple left alive, but their health is not very good at all. Scarfs will finally take a pack over on this left-hand side, but get popped in the air, clean it by Sandblast. And that all started from a really good flank from the side of Froyotech through the house area. Now, not only do I think potentially the bomb was there, I know for sure Yum Yum kind of flanked his way through and was able to find Jimmy with his back turned. So that's going to be the leading cause of that swaying the fight towards Froyotech's favor right off the bat. As we talked about it before, the Froyotech forward hold has begun, and it's not quite the same as the G6 one, but it's still a forward hold nonetheless. Sugmundo able to get his way through, bombing with an A, and that will be a successful force. So overall, only losing two.
And you gotta be careful.
Might get more. Kawa, get the
Penny's very good. They're getting so aggressive in that left lobby there. The demo's left all alone. Ended up trading 3, but they got the force, which already is a better start than what happened against G6. You have Donovan hiding in a funny corner. Where is he? Oh yeah, he's in a corner with a trap.
Oh, in main. And Slugmundo
he jumped over it. Got Manny's trap got trolled. So that is gonna be full Uberad for GPG and Jimmy. Jimmy gonna be looking to maybe use this Uber right here, or maybe he's kind of medic that likes to hold on to his Uber, try to push the point with that. We'll have to see as Froyotech there full
double bomb. Oh, immediately uses. He knew that sync was coming. As they've lost 2 for it though. Can they get?
Oh, there's Donovan. Penny's bombing forward.
Pack, but Bandy's already taken. Actually, no, Bandy couldn't take it. May 20 HP trying to surf around. Doesn't have the scout speed to get out. They've left him out to dry. Unable to save him. Just runs around in circles, but will eventually fall. And something was lost in translation there with that back pedal. But Slugmundo will die. So there is one casualty on the field that maybe Froyotech can kind of use. It also kind of hurts GPG's availability to forward hold.
They still have ad,
because they don't have the soldier. But yeah, they do technically have ad if the fight actually lasts long enough. Froyotech, they do have an opportunity to try here before that comes into play, and then they can find a way to get on Jimmy before he reaches 100%. That could be their golden ticket to cap the point long term for their team. They're starting to take some positioning. Big bomb in from the side of Donovan. Jimmy immediately going in, and Jimmy immediately dying. That is exactly what they need.
They get Sandblast, and Kawa's going in. Kawa's gonna get the pack. Gonna fight Sin, but he gets it. Sin's somewhere. They actually are gonna get Sin. So they got Jimmy, but at what cost? That's 3 deaths and an immediate point recap, and Jimmy just spawned. So Froyotech now they're the ones with Uberad, but GPG, they know they need time to tick down. So even though they lost Jimmy, they lost Uberad, it's not the end of the world. They got the point back quickly enough that they're still gonna drain the clock and make this score more even.
Yeah, the only way that Froyotech
is Scarfs is behind.
Be good for this. Oh, he is behind. Never mind.
They don't know. They don't know.
He's so shot. May 5 HP. May will indeed die to Scarfs. Dies afterwards. Overall 4v4 scenario. Yeah, 98% just barely. But now Yum Yum's behind and Donovan bombing in. One rocket to Jimmy. Jimmy has his back turned. Just dies to Donovan bombing in. The rest of Froyotech are trying to run in. Sandblast is able to find Sugmundo, and Ed has to be careful. A little bit weak. Same with the side of Penny. Yum and Sandblast are going to be cleaning house here. They took a bit of damage and, barely red HP, but enough to make sure that the rest of their team lives. The the point is all capped up, and their team's able to get a nice foothold going back into the forward hold.
I think the clear difference here between Froyotech and G6 so far, we're going to settle into another forward hold, but GPG's doing a much better job of actually getting through the enemy medic. yesterday against, or Tuesday against Lol Guy was just invincible. You couldn't kill him. Now there's a lot more struggle, as we do see the classic
Holy
Kava
meat
Pyro.
grinder. Oh my god. I mean, they got through a little bit, but their health was so
They got
atrocious.
Donovan.
I mean, they've gotten some room. Gotten some room, but you got to get a little bit more than this.
Penny's caught out. Unable to get anything there as 3 players fall, and they're going to settle back to spawn as they know they have Uber Disad temporarily, as Froyotech's getting very aggressive and they're going to spawn. Look at this. That was the same last call if I've ever seen one. Hey, let's run
just
spawn.
Just poke around if they're, getting a little bit too aggressive and too comfortable. Not near their spawn doors, you can get that extra frag. But they don't commit for it. A little bit too wise for that. As even Uber's now, the question is how will it be used? Slugmundo bombing through to try to create some space. Yum Yum's going to be on the case. Bomb coming from Kawa. Sin and Donovan in the mix of it. Jimmy still holding on to the Uber, but overall trading both soldiers. A melee kill from the side of Sin, collecting that frag, but overall it's just Jimmy and Ed left alive. They've lost too much, and Yum Yum's behind might be able to get this force. One meat shot on a Jimmy. He's barely, very low, but they're trying to work their way back through, but
Jimmy
will
has
eventually
to
have to top it. 8 HP.
Can they get Yum
Ed
Yum?
running forward, popped into the air, realizes that he cannot reach the point, but they have to reach the point. There's so little time left, and their HP is, I mean, Jimmy is kind of weak, not be able to heal the people that are trying to cap it. Oh, the flank through house. Froyotech, they found their way over to the combo. They're going to give up the cap, but making sure they get the demo and medic collected, giving up their own demo in return, but overall should be a beneficial way for them to make sure this cap is, cap eventually goes their way.
Versus the world, and he's unable to do anything. That's going to be a Froyotech round, and that did look a lot more promising for GPG, but the forward hold still proving kind of the thorn in their side. I feel like the forward hold single-handedly got at least 2 minutes off. So if they thought they were much better at it, and once the game actually they were able to go back and forth, I think they did a good job killing May. They just gotta keep Jimmy alive a little more, and break these forwards a little faster. I feel like they could actually get back into this game.
Kawa's still on Pyro. I think they've recognized that this is the route that they want to try to take. And I know Donovan, I think he's probably itching to go on the shotgun eventually if it ends up being a problem. But they have the round for now. Mid-fight still underway as no one's really committed yet. There's only a small amount of damage, but Donovan will finally find an opening. Just a little bit of fake for Sin to bomb in, find Scarf. So that's going to be one scout down in favor of the blue team as the flank is behind. But Kawa Pyro still holding down the in front as they loop around, able to get the flame kill on the Donovan as the last final tick. So overall 1-for-1 trade, but Sin bombing in, trying to find Slugmundo. A couple rockets, but they're mismatched, not onto the same target. So overall, actually, it's going to be Kawa that dies on top of the point. I didn't even realize how much damage the Pyro was taking off on top of the point. As Uber comes out on Jimmy trying to get that force, but missed a couple shots.
Jimmy doesn't even have Uber yet, but it doesn't matter.
Oh wait, he barely just gets down, but they've given up their demo. Yum Yum able to walk forward off the distraction and make sure the Dellman is dead in the grave, so no Dellman bomb available for this Uber if they do decide to want to use it. Mid-fight is still technically going on. No one's capped a Sandblast. Very aggressive. Gives him his life immediately as Donovan tries to make use of the distraction, but they will eventually get this force from Jimmy to run forward, trying to get the soldier who is behind, able to get both soldiers out away from the side of Froyotech. With only 3 left alive on their own half the map, there's no way they can fight this 3v6 and will surely back up. Concede the mid-fight. Well, I guess technically
really
it's
still
the
wants to
second cap,
fight.
but GPG overall are going to hold on to this a little bit long term.
That's a great fight from GPG. May does have like 20% Uber ad, but they're going to have to be very aggressive with it. Although Sandblast getting caught out, that's going to definitely not help as Froyotech, they are trying to get through the other door, but they still have this Pyro to deal with. I did say they need to protect Jimmy a bit better, and it's definitely a lot easier if you just have a Pyro who can right-click away the bombs. So that's going to be two Froyotech players they're down, but the Froyotech players are just hurt in lobby and on fire. Yum's gonna fall, man. He's gonna fall.
Hello? Are you gonna get this? Oh, the melee. The bomb that drops! Slugmundo comes in clutch at the last second to make sure that play is a done deal. In GPG, they might not have been like in sync as much as you would want them to, but at the end of the day, it's still enough to make sure that Uber is gone. Froyotech, though, they've recognized how much GPG had to give up. They're able to take the point for free, but then Uber ad in Jimmy's favor. Got to get a couple of teammates under your wing, but surely be able to retake this pretty simply. But how much will you give up to be able to do that?
Yeah, in an ideal world, you take this.
Behind.
Yum going for the flank. They're also going to bomb Jimmy. Jimmy has to use in lobby. 4 players sacked for him. They're going to be able to get the point and get these kills. They didn't lose anyone, which is good, but now May does have 50% Uber at to work with. But GPG might not hate this entirely. Yum's still behind. I don't know if they know. But GPG, they do have the point time advantage, and it is ticking down. So if they can have some good work happening here, Penny gonna pop his trap, gonna end up falling as Yum is still behind for all this. And I feel like the annoying thing about this Pyro for Kawa is it's like, how do you practice against this? Nobody else does this.
Yeah, I mean, Kawa's dead, so maybe you don't need the practice, but Yum lurking behind, able to find their way onto Jimmy, so Jimmy no longer able to heal the red team, backing out of the forward hold, and Froyotech, they've done a pretty good job of making sure that not only did they collect the important players, but they've done so much damage to the side of GPG that they can't even barely be here. I mean, Ed is kind of hiding in the corner, inside house, might be able to spring his way through and get a flank on the demo or medic. The timing is just right, and the timing might be there.
The timing is right.
Can he get it though? The rest of the damage does not have come through as Donovan now on the shotgun. Like I said before, able to not only thwart the pyro, but thwart any flankers coming in from behind to make sure Froyotech is able to hold on to their Uber.
Froyotech still got 50 seconds to go before they equalize the time, so GPG's been doing a much better job this round of making sure the time. Sandblast is very aggressive in lobby. You're gonna have to back up and spaces. Slugmundo gonna bomb through, gonna buy some face. Yum gonna try to fight this, but Yum's so hurt. He's got to be careful about dying. His Froyotech's getting aggressive in the lobby. Slugmundo is gonna fall. Hava's gonna fall as well, bombing in on Soldier as this is gonna turn into a sack, but unable to get the force, and that means that it's gonna be even Ubers here, and Froyotech is running through lobby again.
Yeah, they're seeing if anyone's getting too aggressive, but I think they've recognized that it can be really dangerous to get that forward if you don't have your Uber yet. People are getting really adventurous in lobbies, so playing your spawn door is a smart move, but they did a lot of damage trying to break out. It just wasn't really on the same target. They weren't able to really get to the med, but they're able to get their way into lobby now. The question is how will you get out? The Scarf's immediately falling since one scout down, and Kawa taking a lot of damage. Sin will end up giving their life, but the Uber will eventually come out.
They traded
Jimmy! So much damage coming in at once, unable to milk that properly to get the best out of your Uber. The Uber's not had at all. One scout left alive in the thick of it. As Scarfs is still respawning, barely getting out of spawn as GPG. They kind of fumbled the bag there.
They did, and now they have to deal with Uber ad again. May on full Uber as I think he picked up Rocket's minigun.
No, you know what? You're right. Uber's still available, and I don't think they expected this.
They did not expect this at all.
Off lobby. They've overall traded 1-for-1, able to get Kawa, trying to chase off some extra players, but I mean, at least you can consider that a successful sack, kind of, if you're in, like, if you're GPG. Be like, okay, well, at least we have ad now, and they're down people, so it's going to be harder for them to
It's still winnable.
Lobby,
they had so much point time, it actually still is winnable for GPG if they can get out and get on the point. If they can get the point without using, that's ideal, because then they have Uber at to work with. But we'll have to see. Yum is hiding in a corner, trying to be sneaky. Haba on Pyro. Haba gonna find Yum, and they know Yum's behind, so that's good. Yeah, Jimmy's looking around. Yum going for the flank, but they know about it, but can they stop it? Jimmy's so hurt. Can they protect him? Donovan's behind too. They got Donovan. Jimmy's still alive. They gotta get the point time now.
Slugmundo's stuck behind, will eventually die to a roller, but Uber is available for the side of the red team. It's going to dwindle a bit there as May is slowly reaching his Uber as well, but Sandblast caught in a corner, fighting a Pyro will eventually trade, as actually May is the one that collects that kill with an arrow. So overall, one player advantage for the side of Froyotech as they begin to poke and prod on this point. They know they have some time to go ahead and go for it, but bomb from Sin, trying to create some space, not committing, damage on the Ed. Jimmy backed up for that Uber, has to be there in time to make sure the players are saved. The Uber will eventually come out from the red team, but May doesn't want to use it until way later. This Uber is going to chase down some frags. Dibble bombing in, a lot of damage, able to kill Pinifers and Jimmy. Giving up a couple though, they've lost their soldiers. This post could be okay. Able to get a lot of damage on May. Ed trying to chase that kill, will eventually get an overall 3v3 fight remaining. So Mundo weak, unable to immediately participate in it, but Kama's running down Fanny, able to get the flame frag. Yum is able to make sure that Pyro does indeed die. Slugmundo is the last person alive, but throughout all this, Froyotech did not cap. They quote-unquote won the fight. It still didn't get the cap in the middle of it. Slugmundo trying to pressure a bit, will probably get
he had to block the point a bit. No, he had to block the point a bit because they needed point time, and he did a good enough job that they're getting in the point now. Both medics, even Ubers, this is a pure dry fight. Donovan is behind. He's gonna be go for a waddle bomb, but Donovan right clicked him. Only so much you can do there, but they still gotta get they gotta make sure they can't recap. They can't let for a recap.
At the end of the day, the cap time is a little bit too much to handle. They had a little bit of positioning, but I think even the fact that Donovan got shut down, it was so much of a distraction. And plus, the fact that their demo immediately exploded from the bomb from Sin was super huge.
Definitely super huge. And on that note, that's going to be a 2-0 for Froyotech so far, but that round, that was a nail-biter. That was a... If you're Froyotech, you don't want more of that rounds. And GPG, after initial kind of fumbling out of the gate with the forward holds, they've managed to... they got to start getting some rounds, but that's a very good start.
Yep, so far no one's really committed quite yet. Actually, never mind. Bombs coming in from the side of Kawa, but won't be unable to find anything. Train keeps going through. GPG are still setting people through, but overall, they got a lot of damage on Froyotech. There were a couple of red health players, but they might be losing everyone here depending. Actually, no, Jimmy should be far enough away to be able to escape. Nifus will eventually die caught out in no man's land as yeah, Jimmy will be the survivor there, but Froyotech only losing like what, one to be able to cap that, and they're still doing a forward hold despite being down a soldier, so they're very confident here.
Yeah, they are very confident. Okay with this Uber exchange as well when Jimmy comes up on his Uber. Last time worked out pretty well for Froyotech. Jimmy was in lobby and dropped his Uber, so Froyotech maybe hoping to repeat that success. Gonna back up a little, gonna buy some space. Someone is gonna bomb through. As Yum Yum gonna shoot him down a lot of Sandblast is behind. I think they know. Look at Scarf's knows.
Yeah,
Okay,
Scarfs is aware, but they lose Kawa. Their Pyro's down, able to kill Donovan, but Yum Yum flank behind, not only living throughout that, but getting the force as well. Just bring Scarfs on a wild chase in this Uber. At the end of the day, he's only collecting a 2v2, but Yum Yum, he's just in. I don't think anyone was really able to follow up. They
still
were
has
too
his
far
Uber.
back.
Yeah,
That's true. That Uber was not expended to get the force at all. So at the end of the day, even though Froyotech gave up a lot here, and they're gonna oh, that pipe though, Scarf's almost died.
Still almost,
die.
He's got to be careful.
With that arrow.
Although Benny got to be careful too, getting a little aggressive with that Uber. So they are going to be able to recap, but Froyotech does have full Uber rat to work with here. So, Jamie's got to be careful because they can't give up the point for free, and it's going to be a sneaky house Uber. Actually, Sandblast looks at it, decides to back up, as Donovan might be getting a little left out to dry, and he is. We're going for kind of a cheesy flank play, not going to working at us. Now Yum Yum might be caught in as well. They're going to get the point out of it, but they drop 2, and Jamie 61% Uber. So Froyotech doesn't even get the point back yet.
Yeah, I mean, Froyotech gave up a lot to make sure that Jimmy was going to force so long ago, but they're unable to really use the fact that they have Uber advantage to actually scare GPG well enough away. Able to get the Scarf skill, they give up a lot of damage for it, and Sandblast has had enough, finds Peniferous a little bit too far forward, and will eventually get that kill. A couple of shots, but will eventually die as a couple of soldiers trying to find their way out. Kyle will not be lucky, but Slugmundo will able to snake his way out and make sure he lives to fight another day as this Uber is saved by the side of the red team, able to work their way back to spawn, and is available to use to try to break through lobby once again and work their way back to the point. But got Pyro on the field, but the forward hold is once again up from the side of Froyotech.
True, but it's a lot more different this time with full Uber ad for the side of Jimmy. And look at the Froyotech flank; they're getting very aggressive. Kawa gonna take some damage, gonna end up falling. They're gonna get through the choke point pretty for free. Sin might be caught up behind; they're not careful. Donovan is gonna bomb. He's gonna get nuked. They get Penny, and they get Ed though. Kawa is in, gonna be shooting Yum Yum, gonna get Yum Yum. So this is a 2-for-2 trade, which is gonna favor G6, and Kawa's going for a flank on Pyro.
Sin's in as well. On to Jimmy. One surf, couple missed rockets, will not be successful. So far, they've given up a bit, but at least they have quicker respawners. So the fact that
they gotta get the point before this Uber though. Does help when you have a Pyro to reflect everything. So we're gonna bomb it. Kawa's forward. He's just running at Penny.
I think there was a little bit of a. I think she might have changed her mind at this last second on who the target was going to be, but at the end of the day, Ubers are available for the side of both teams, one person down. But actually May's a little bit weak, has to back up with the pack. It's going to slow down Froyotech's availability to actually walk up to this point and stay healed and just run forward and take this Uber, but Slugmundo kind of bombing out, has to be careful. Sandblast wants to take this, they lose Banny. Scarf stays able to work their way behind, but they're dropping all of the map. Wait, Jimmy dropped that? Is that his third drop? There's so much damage coming his way, he's unable to milk it properly. Only Kawa and Peniferous left alive. Penny's trying to get out. Kawa's barely. Actually, Kawa died from earlier on Pyro. Back on Soldier now, so unable to really participate. And as Vanny asked if he's going for the record again, he's at 3. He needs 4 more to get 7. I don't even know if 7's a record.
Jimmy is untouchable mental, and Vanny can try as much as he wants, but I don't think he's going to do any real damage here. As Froyotech settling into the forward hold against Sandblast and Scarfs ended up trading. Scarfs drops Sandblast a question mark as well. Donovan going to be dropping the door. Nuke Kawa though before they can even get anything going. And yeah, that's a 3-for-1. Donovan can end up getting a little bit healthier, and this is going to be. Yeah, GPG, they gotta get out of the forward hold, start fighting the point soon.
The only silver lining with this is at least your second try is easier. Sandblast is not quite there, and Yum Yum definitely won't be there when you try to break out. You have your full team now, but oh, Kawa, you can't die to this. You can't die alone. It's gonna ruin your player advantage, but Kawa is able to live. Scarfs gave up a lot of health as well, so they don't actually have a realistic player advantage.
May so hurt.
Rocket, the force. Slugmundo just did that solo. What a play. Eventually, the Ubers are gonna get forced out by both teams, though, on separate sides of the map, coming from each other's flanks. Overall,
they gotta get on the point.
Getting both the soldiers, but the time advantage. Yeah, Penny jumping forward. Knows they have to get to overtime, but is gonna give up their life for it. Both scouts up for the
oh, the nuke from Vanny!
Vanny was in house. Gets 3 or 4 with yourself. Carpet, a sticky last second. Oh my god.
That was an absolute nuke from Vanny, gunning 4 kills. I mean, he knew that they had to be on the point. Vanny even typing "don't roll" as Vanny.
He's having fun with it.
Yeah, Vanny's having a fun time here. 3-0 for Froyotech, but GPG they're not out of it yet. They still got a round. They still got a round to make sure they can at least do some damage here, get on the scoreboard. And it's been a lot closer this game, so we'll have to see how GPG want to get back to this. And May dropping down to 30 health instantly.
He's 30. He's kind of trying to make sure he can still heal while not actually being a threat, but actually the bombs are on the side of the flank. Ed is going to fall, so immediately going to be one player advantage. Slugmundo,
they get Vanny.
Both coming from the sides of the house, making sure that our target is down, but at the end of the day, Demoman's going to be a pretty important pick. Overall, 2v2 fight continuing. Kawa might die if she's not too careful, trying to jump away. Will get scattered down by the side of Sandblast as Froyotech, barely a victory in terms of the actual players, but overall their positioning showed a completely different story. They kind of, despite
Donovan's
giving up
hiding
Banny
in a
there,
corner again.
they took that point pretty handily.
Donovan
Oh,
doing a high
Donovan bomb?
momentum lobby, but spotted out, and that is going to be a feed as they're going to try to get out, but Froyotech chose the correct door, at least for the time being. Rocket is going to pop their Uber, and there's a lot of Froyotech players here. There's a lot of flashing happening back and forth, but the Pyro might help with that as GPG are able to get out, and they are going to be able to fight this point with even Ubers and other player.
We have to use that player advantage soon because Donovan has arrived and will rock jump very quickly to this point, but Red, they gotta get some cap time. They're trying to put the point. Oh, Kawa ends up dying to spam. I think had a detonator out. The bomb comes in from the side of Sin, drawing some eyes. Will
That's
eventually
2 down.
die. So overall, you know, they got the Pyro, but at what cost? To Froyotech, they're still trying to show face a little bit. They know it's only a one player disab. They're still trying to make it really difficult for the side of GPG as they're getting on top of the point. Trying to deny Sambas from the high and putting a lot of damage on him, but eventually the cap will go in favor of GPG. As Froyotech, they still haven't fully left here. They know that there's some opportunity to still poke and prod as GPG has not really pulled the trigger with walking forward yet. A lot of damage on the Kawa, has to be careful and go ahead and jump over to the Packer, actually take an arrow, but cap time in favor of actually Sandblast running forward.
Flank aggression.
Finding Paniferous away from Jimmy.
Rocket
Jimmy
is 98%.
dies at 98% again. That's the second time he's barely died without getting the Uber. I don't even know if that's just a timing thing or if May's actually seeing that they don't quite have yet and just decided to go right then.
With the head, they might know, or Sandblast might have just called, hey, let's just get these Ubers out as fast as possible, and might have gotten lucky, but regardless, this is going to be another forward hold to bridge for GPG as that a very aggressive Uber ended up paying off. It is Koth, so those I think that was like, what, 10% Uber ad? You can take those.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's the fact that you know
those.
it exists is the big thing, though. Because a lot of the time, the 10% ads can just be like kind of artificial, like, oh, they were arrowing and stuff. But they're able to either figure it out or find a way to, you know, use it. But Paniferous,
What just ran it? That's gonna be. They got
so
May.
high
That's
in
a
the skybox.
that's a 4-man for May. And
Oh,
they
so
Minecraft.
Sandblast.
Minecraft. There is a demo in the enemy
almost
spawn.
on the Sin as well.
There's a demo in the enemy spawn.
Banny.
Banny's
Oh, they're aware.
They're aware. Go at the correct door. Banny got the backup. Set up another trap as now Banny is about to get. Banny's going on an adventure. I don't know. Oh, there he goes.
Just avoiding the pyro.
Banny going on a bit of an adventure, doing a lap in lobby, but gonna end up both teams even Ubers. GPG pushing out of the forwards. We'll see if they can get away with it as, yeah, they're going to be able to get through. Sandblast getting very aggressive. They're going to get bombed. Going to get pinched in lobby, actually, as there's going to be a bomb onto Rocket. Rocket going to live. So we're going to end up trading for Sandblast now, but that is 2 for 1. They're hopefully going to be able to push this.
Yeah, a little bit hard for the side of Froyotech. They had some positioning, but didn't really have the heals to make sure they could live through that the best they could. But they're still trying to fight it. Only one player just had, and it's not enough to make them run away. But Yundam will.
Sars is just running at May. The fire, the fire.
May is 6 HP, and the Aftermer does not tick him down to death. As they will survive, but they will not hold on to the point for very much longer. As GPG has recollected it in their favor, but the time deficit. Oh, they got to hold on to this for a long while if they wanted to have this round not be in Froyotech's favor. And that would be the end of the match, too. So this Uber is eventually coming from both these teams, I would imagine. It's going to be probably one of the most important ones yet. This Froyotech, they're on the move.
Going to bomb Sandblast. Sandblast's going to fall. That's a pretty good start. As Froyotech getting aggressive, and someone got air shot there, but Donovan is going to end up falling as Danny does hit a nice air shot, but at what cost as the Uber is forced? Jimmy also forces his Uber. Both teams are on the wrong side of the map.
And Paniferous last
Jimmy
one's
gonna
left
fall.
alive. Froyotech has
Wait,
so many
Banny's
players left
going
alive.
on a rampage right now. Banny's getting everyone.
Oh, Paniferous trying to find the way into May. Not quite enough, and at the end of the day, 15 seconds left. They have one dry push really in the tank, and with a late demo
Froyotech is running into the lobby, which I like.
Yeah, they're slowing them down. There's no overtime.
Oh, Sandblast getting nuked though might not help.
If you slow them down, it could be enough. They're just running into them. Just trade lives. There is no second fight if you just end it now. They're barely able to make
on the
point. They got some overtime. They're still alive players.
Oh,
on the
but
side of
Banny's
Froyotech,
killing
defending the
everyone
fort.
again.
He has a kill streak right now of like 8+. He's going wild. Ed's still there, but will eventually clean up that kill streak. But Ed dying. A little bit of overtime will tick down. And the rest of the GPG players are not quite close enough to make that continue. So at the end of the day, Froyotech, there's some close rounds in there, but overall, relatively dominant 4-0 in their favor on Bagel.
Yeah. They looked a lot better from GPG. I don't know whether that's adjustments they made or Froyotech not being as good on the map as G6, but regardless, still still a 4-0 in the end. Doesn't matter, pulse only matters to a certain extent if you can't get the round. So Froyotech winning 4-0 on Bagel. And GPG, I think they showed promise there, but in the end, if you don't get any rounds, doesn't matter.
I'm sure Froyotech are pretty happy with it too. Not only just because they won, obviously, but Koth can be pretty scary to tackle as a new team because it's a whole different beast from 5CP sometimes. So going up against a team that a lot of people are saying are a contender to, work their way into playoffs and having this dominant of a showing on a Koth map, it just it being your match to boot as well is just one of those things where it's like, all right, if we eventually play these guys again, that's one less map that we have to be afraid of. We don't have to bother banning it like they initially thought. They let it through, and then GPG picked it. So I'm kind of curious how GPG will feel about Bagel later on because they've shown improvement, but eventually, you know, you gotta make sure that you're able to win your matches again. I mean, this is a break in their streak from their what was it like
They were
six
six. They
zero?
were 6-0. Yeah, now they're
Yeah.
6-2. Which going 6-2 against the number one and number two team, that does make sense. The not
Hmm.
getting any rounds part is a little concerning, but again, it is still kind of like what midway through the season. They still got time to get things sorted out and reload for playoffs. Plus, they're both on the same map, so maybe Bagel's not a map they pick against the higher against Froyotech and G6. Looking at the stats here, we can see Banny had a very fun time. Sandblast as well. A couple from Froyotech have taken a lot of very fun Ubers.
And it can definitely show with Sandblast's kill lead. If you take a lot of fun Ubers and they're that successful, that's definitely going to be like show in your Pocket Scout having a very dominant performance of 33 kills and not even giving up very much for it. He was barely trailing behind Banny in the damage department as well, so definitely had a stellar game.
Most definitely. Looking at a GPG scarfs, even KD but leading the way in terms of damage. How much damage did the pyro actually do? Kaba did 300. I'm curious how much of that actually was
I mean,
soldier. How
she
much of
swapped
that?
back and forth a
How
little
much? How
bit.
much of that was just her like spamming the detonator over and over again? Because that's a good way to get a lot of damage.
There's just some things, and you're gonna have to go for the
Yeah,
logs itself to look at. One of those being, you know, we see the deaths to Jimmy. I mean, I think there's a hidden stat there that makes him a little bit worse, unfortunately. But as
yeah,
long as you learn from it, it's only up from here. So
exactly.
sometimes you have those games. Drops happen.
Yeah,
Normalize dropping.
yeah.
Just
What's
only
the
so
skis
much.
quote? You can't let medics drop. If you don't like medics drop, it's like letting Michelangelo not paint. You gotta sometimes take the good with the bad.
It's a balance to everything.
Indeed. As I don't think we're getting interviews. Yeah, probably no interviews unless Danny decides to show his face. We'll see. But yeah, it's a 4-0. So I
I mean,
guess if we have no
it's the same
interviews,
thing.
yeah,
It's like if it's a 4-0, sometimes there's not very much to
yeah,
be said, and there's also like sometimes you just got to go straight into the team talks, figure out what went wrong. If you think it should have been a more dominant victory and it wasn't, there's still you can still address some stuff. So
yeah.
we'll pass on the interviews for now. But if that's the case, then it's time to go and move over to the shout out phase. Any final thoughts before we wrap everything up, Space?
Shout out to Pyro, good class. I'm glad
True.
that Kawa plays the class because I like seeing beam off classes. Shout out to both teams playing good games. Shout out to production, same as always, and shout out to skis.
Yep, always. Shout out to the teams. Shout out to everyone who hung out and watched with us. It was a lot of good bagel that we saw over the past week, and I'm ready to see more of it. I like this map, but some variety is important too, and we're definitely going to see some variety throughout the season. As there's a lot of matches and a lot of maps that you need to make sure you are refined at when it comes to playoffs time. I think for future matches, we got to get stuff scheduled. It's going to take probably the weekend for these teams, get their stuff together and figure out when their matches are going to be played exactly date by date. Until we wait for that eventual Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday probably scheduling, you probably have to, just be content with the Highlander for now. That's always available Mondays at 9:30. It doesn't really change too much. They're like, I think 99% of Highlander matches are Monday 9:30. So there's very rare cases. So that's a very consistent thing to rely on. And hey, maybe by then you'll have a better idea of what matches are going to be played for the upcoming week. But for tonight, that'll be it for us. I've been Jarrett, casting with Space Ghost with Delphin on production. Thank you and good night.
Good night.